I'm on page 10 of the reading workbook, and we're looking at practice 3, which is about identifying supporting details. So let me zoom in. It says to read the passage, then answer questions 1 through 6. You notice that these passages are getting longer. Our last one about the traveling with GPS and cell phones had 5 paragraphs. This one has 7. So these are gradually getting longer. This one is about Babe Ruth. You may not know much about baseball, but you most likely have heard of Babe Ruth, one of the greatest baseball players of all time. When it came to baseball, Babe Ruth could do anything, and he did it well. He excelled in all aspects: pitching, fielding, and hitting. Babe Ruth's childhood was difficult. Born in Baltimore, Maryland on February 6, 1895, Babe grew up in a rough part of town called Pigtown. His birth name was George Herman Ruth Jr. George's father worked long hours in his saloon, and his mother was in poor health, which meant that George had little supervision. He would often skip school and get into trouble in the neighborhood. So his parents thought it best to send him to the St. Mary's Industrial School for Boys, a school run by Catholic monks. St. Mary's was good for George. There he learned discipline. Each boy there was to learn a trade. George was to be a shirt maker. He worked hard. Brother Matthias, one of the monks, took a liking to George and got him interested in baseball. George was good at it. With Brother Matthias's help, George became an outstanding pitcher, hitter, and fielder. George was so good at baseball that the brothers invited the owner of the Baltimore Orioles to George's school to watch him play. The owner was very impressed, and after only 1 hour of watching him, offered George a contract. George joined the team in February 1914 at the age of 19. Because he was so young, the other players on the team started calling him Babe. Although George acquired several other nicknames during his career, the Great Bambino, the Sultan of Swat, the Big Bam, the nickname Babe stuck with him. In 1914, the Orioles traded Babe to the Boston Red Sox. He became one of the best pitchers in the major leagues. The Red Sox soon discovered, though, that Babe was more valuable as a hitter than a pitcher, so they moved him into the outfield. In 1919, Babe hit 24 home runs, setting a record for the most home runs hit in a single season. In December of 1919, Ruth was traded again, this time to the New York Yankees. He played for the Yankees for 15 years. He helped them win 4 World Series titles. He also led the league in home runs almost every year. Babe set many records. In 1927, he set a new home run record of 60. That record stood for 34 years. Babe Ruth retired from baseball in 1935 after playing for the Boston Braves for half a season. He was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1936. He was one of the first 5 to become a member. The Yankees retired his famous number 3 on June 13, 1948. On August 16, 1948, Babe lost his battle with cancer. Okay, let's take a look. This is called a biography. It's the story of a person's life. Bio means life. Let me write that for you because this is an important word to know. Biography. So we have really two roots here. We have bio, which means life. Graph is something written or drawn. So it is your life written down, a biography. There's another word that's very similar. If you put the prefix auto on there, you have auto means self, by yourself. Again, bio means life. Graph means a written record or a picture, something in print. So an autobiography is a person's life story that was written by the person. So if Babe Ruth wrote his own story, that would be an autobiography. This article was not written by Babe Ruth. It was written by someone else. So it is a biography. And that's off track, but those are two words that you need to know. And that's a good review of roots, suffixes, and prefixes. Okay, let's look at some questions about Babe Ruth. Which supporting detail would not fit in paragraph 2? So I'm going to look back at paragraph 2 and see what it's about. This is about Babe Ruth's childhood, that he was born in Maryland. His dad worked long hours. His mom was in poor health. He would skip school and get in trouble, so they sent him to St. Mary's. Okay. George learned all the skills necessary to be an athlete at St. Mary's. The Ruth family lived in rooms above the saloon. George came from a working class family. Or D, George committed petty theft and vandalism. And we're looking for the one that would not fit in paragraph 2. Which one of these is not talking about his childhood? And that is A. You want to be careful there. The other 3 do fit. But this one would be better in the next paragraph where it talked about Father Matthias. Make sure you catch that. Which one would not fit in paragraph 2? Number 2, which detail supports the main idea of paragraph 3? So let's look back at paragraph 3. And this is talking about his time at St. George. It was good for him. He learned discipline. He learned how to make shirts. He worked hard. He met Brother Matthias, and he taught him about baseball. So which one of these does support the main idea? George learned discipline at St. Mary's. Sewing and carpentry are types of vocational skills. That one has nothing to do with St. Mary's, although it's true. Brother Matthias was one of the monks at St. Mary's. That is true. And George was a good baseball player. But again, I need to talk about St. Mary's and its effect on George. D doesn't mention St. Mary's. C doesn't mention George. So I'm liking A. George learned discipline at St. Mary's. That's actually one of the sentences in that paragraph as well. If you look back at paragraph 3, it's right there. Okay, number 3. Which 2 details best support the idea that George excelled at baseball? The brothers at St. Mary's invited the owner of the Baltimore Orioles to the school to watch George play. That would indicate that he was good at baseball, so let's make that one a possibility. The owner of the Orioles offered George a contract after only 1 hour of watching him. That definitely suggests that George was good at baseball. George joined the Baltimore Orioles in February 1914. That's true, but that doesn't mean he was good at baseball. He could have joined the Orioles and been really, really bad at baseball, like I am. George's teammates started calling him Babe because he was so young. Again, that's true, but that has nothing to do with him being good at baseball. George had other nicknames, but the nickname Babe stuck. The two that are talking about his baseball skills are A and B, and you need them both to get credit for this question. Which two details? Number 4. Read the sentence from paragraph 6. In 1927, he, meaning Babe Ruth, set a new home run record of 60. Which main idea does this sentence support? Babe played for both the Orioles and the Yankees. Well, that's true, but that has nothing to do with that home run record. Babe was one of the best pitchers in the league. That's true, but think about what a home run is. Do you need to be a good pitcher to do a home run? Babe was a better hitter than a pitcher. There we go. He hit home runs. You don't pitch home runs. Not if you're a good pitcher. You hit home runs. So I think that's it. Babe helped the Yankees win 4 World Series titles. Again, that's true, but that has nothing to do with that home run record. So I'm going to go with C on this one. Hitting 60 home runs in one season tells me that he was a darn good hitter. Number 5. It's very late at night, guys, and I'm tired tonight. But we'll get through this. Which supporting detail would best fit in paragraph 6? So let's look back at paragraph 6. Get an idea what it's talking about. He was traded again to the Yankees. He stayed with them for 15 years. They won 4 World Series titles, and that's the time that he set the records. So this was talking about his time with the Yankees and how well he did. So which of these sentences would fit in there very well? Not only was Ruth a superb baseball player, he was also socially minded, often visiting orphanages and hospitals and helping the poor. And while that's true and admirable, that doesn't fit with paragraph 6. Ruth was the first batter to hit 500 home runs in a career. That fits with paragraph 6. Ruth famously said, "Yesterday's home runs don't win today's games." Again, that's an admirable quote, but paragraph 6 is focused on his accomplishments, on his records. Before playing any other position on the field, Ruth made 127 appearances on the pitching mound. Well, we are not focused on that history. We're focused on his record in this one. So I'm going to go with B for number 5. You can add that little fact to all the other facts about how good he was. Which detail from the passage best supports the main idea of the passage? So let me remind you, when you look at the passage, you're talking about the whole thing. What's the main idea in one sentence of that whole thing? Babe Ruth was an amazing baseball player. Okay. So the main idea of the passage is that Ruth was an amazing player. This is a tough question because if you miss this part, you could very easily miss this next part. So you have to really get your main idea to figure out which one of these details fits with it. He excelled in all aspects: pitching, fielding, and hitting. Although George acquired several other names during his career, the Great Bambino, the Sultan of Swat, and Big Bam, the nickname Babe stuck with him. That's true, but that has nothing to do with his amazing ability to play. In December 1919, Ruth was traded again, and the Yankees retired his famous number 3 on June 13th. Why was Ruth an amazing player? It was because he was good at everything. He could play any position and do well at it. So number 6 is A. Okay, before we move to the next passage, I'm going to break the video and we'll take a look at the second part of this practice.